I kind of hate being a tattoo person. I can't believe I'm doing this on the internet. Hey guys, I don't even know where to start. I almost feel like I have to reintroduce myself because I'm in a different place in my life. So if you're new here, or even if you're not, hi, my name is MJ or Morgan Joyce. Morgan, I don't really care what you call me. MJ is my preference, but it doesn't matter. I've used Morgan Joyce online for so long. And I am a heavily tattooed woman. I've been so outspoken about tattoos on YouTube for the longest time, for years. I want to thank tattoo culture for giving me part of my notoriety, giving me something unique to talk about to people, something that people could be interested in, and just like kind of giving me a unique edge that made me noticeable and that made me have something different to talk about. I want to thank all the tattoo artists that have ever tattooed me, all the conventions that I went to, just anyone in this community at all, and I don't want to offend anybody by making this video. The last thing I want to do is make someone upset or feel like their livelihood is threatened in any way. Not telling anybody not to get tattoos, that's not the point of this video at all, so please don't misconstrue the things I'm saying. I just want to have an adult conversation as someone who has become more enlightened about themselves, and kind of just open up this discussion that I feel like a lot of people have these feelings about but aren't talking about it. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but again, like, let me reiterate, like, if you don't know me, like, tattoos were my thing, like, my passion. So I guess basically what I'm gonna be saying is that I kind of hate being a tattooed person. And I hope I don't get emotional during this. Of course I'm going to. It's so weird. Ever since I've been off my antidepressants, I made a video about that, I'll link that here. I've been so emotional, and I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that that's not a bad thing. Anyway, I kind of hate being a tattoo person, and I never thought I'd be someone saying that, because it's just been such a huge part of my life and a part of my interests and a part of my identity for so long that it's come as such a shock to me to have this realization as a person. It's almost like my identity is being, like, I'm questioning my own identity and my own presentation to the world and my outer being. It's a really, really strange feeling to have. It's not affecting my life on a daily basis, but it's something I think about a lot and it needs to be talked about. I can 100% fully admit now at this point in my life, as a 27-year-old woman, well, I'll be 27 on September 6th, so depending on when this video goes up, I can now say that I would have gone, if I could, I would go back in time and do things differently about my tattoos, 100%. I feel like it's partially taken me so long to admit it, and I've found that it's the same for other people, because ever since I posted about this on Twitter, I got a bunch of people reaching out to me saying they felt the same way, so I've talked about it with like some people. It's made me feel so much less alone. But anyway, it almost feels like, so if you're a tattooed person too, or you have piercings or anything, like, you know how everyone told you you were gonna regret it? Like how every adult, every friend, every family member told you were gonna regret it. It almost, by admitting that you're not 100% happy, it almost like makes it feel like you're saying that those people were right. And it's hard to admit defeat, and it's hard to be like, you know what, you were right. I fought tooth and nail to say that you were wrong, and I'm gonna love this forever, and it's a part of my story, and this is me, and like I will never regret anything in my life because it's part of my story, and I learned a lesson from it. But it's like, it's so easy to say that as an angsty teen, but then when you become an adult and realize that that's not the reality of the situation, it's a little hard to admit that, and it's a little hard to be like, you know, you guys were right, because it's such a permanent decision and there's nothing we can do about it at all. So it's like you kind of force all those thoughts down back into your head and just think it's, you know, it's like this forever. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't regret it, because if I do, then I'm Like little tattoos, you can cover them up, you can laser them off. I've had some laser done. I had laser done on the tattoos that were on the behind my ears, on the side of my neck, and they're gone, and I feel so much better about it. But you can't undo this. Everything that I've done, you can't undo it. You can't. That's it. It's too much. I'd be getting laser tattoo removal probably for the rest of my life to remove all of my tattoos, and I'm not even exaggerating because it's so painful. I wouldn't be able to do more than like one spot at a time. I don't think I could physically in my lifetime ever even remove all my tattoos, so it's something that's like unfeasible. And by the way, like I'm not saying that's what I want to do. I really don't. It just would be so nice to go back to the beginning and start all over again with the knowledge that I know now about tattoos and about me and like just all of it. So I do want to say that like regret really isn't the word that I still want to choose for these decisions, just because it's like I'm not unhappy as a person because of my tattoos. They don't make me unhappy. I still really love tattoos. I love them. I would still love to have a sleeve, but I would have done it so much differently. I would have gone about it so much differently. And part of this video is just like my advice to young people who are interested in getting tattoos. Maybe you'll listen to me as someone who is just like you. You'll listen to me as someone who is just like you, who loved this so much and was a part of their life. It was everything to them, who now is thinking differently about it. And I just hope I can help people make better decisions than I did. So I think the first thing I'll talk about is why I believe I got so drawn to tattoos. I grew up in an area where everybody was the same. Difference wasn't accepted. The kids all had, you know, certain brand names. They had their little cliques. They had their, you know, they were doing crazy things at young ages, and just it was hard to keep up. I don't come from a family that has those same ideals, and it was hard to keep up with people, and for a really long time I just wanted to fit in and do everything that the other kids were doing so I could, you know, feel cool or whatever. And then I think that's the reason why I kind of started changing my appearance in the first place in high school, or the last year of middle school, but mostly during high school. I just didn't want to be like everyone else. Like I had this urge inside me just to be like all of you. I don't like it. Like I started listening to emo music. Part of that is having tattoos for a lot of people. I was so attracted to tattooed men. I also just really loved artwork. I thought it was pretty. I thought tattoos were gorgeous. They made me excited. Looking at other people with tattoos made me excited. I wanted it so bad. It's something I was never allowed to do. And I thought they were beautiful. Like I still do think they are beautiful. So that's a positive reason that I wanted to do it. My reasoning always for getting tattoos was just because I wanted it, and I had, you know, things that were meaningful to me, or I justified getting them in other ways. But now, again, as an adult reflecting back, I think a lot of the I know a lot of the tattoos that I got were to cover parts of my body that I didn't feel were beautiful. I'm sorry, this is really, really hard for me to talk about, because despite the fact that I'm a model now and I'm confident, it was not always like that for me, and I had to find my confidence and really, really fight to love myself. So it's just hard to talk about it. It's just painful. I feel bad for me as a child. I really do. So every time I got a new tattoo, I felt a little more like it wasn't my original skin anymore, and that made me feel good. And again, I think a lot of this was subconscious, but man, this is hard to talk about. I can say with 110,000% certainty that my stomach tattoo was created only around the fact that I didn't like my stomach. I had a lot of bloating issues, so it made me self-conscious. It just did, point blank period. There was no reason for me to be self-conscious, but I can't go back and tell myself that. So I definitely wanted to cover my stomach up, and that's the reason I got a tattoo. Almost all of my tattoos, I thought about it for about 2 seconds, and then I did it. Hit up whatever artist it was, and I did it. And it sucks for me now to have a stomach tattoo, even though it's not like I particularly hate the artwork or anything like that. I just wish I could see my stomach. I've been working out for 2 years consistently, and I'm super proud of my progress. I've definitely started to develop abs, but you can't see them because it's covered in a tattoo, and it's just like, I can't even fully appreciate my progress because it's covered. Like, that sucks. I've taken so much pride in just transforming my body into something that feels good for me, and also it feels good when you like feel like you look good. Not like, you know, your fitness and appearance is everything or whatever, but when you work hard on your body, you want to look at it and you want to appreciate it, and like, I'm proud of myself. Even my chest tattoo, like, I'm really happy with the way it came out. It looks good. Like, it really looks great. Like, I can't deny it. Like, considering what it came from, if you don't know, I made another horrible decision, and I am now an adult and fully ready to admit that that was a horrible decision to get a scarification done. I'm embarrassed by it, truly. It was a horrible decision. I'm glad it works out for other people, but it was a stupid decision for me to do at such a young age, going in without having even like fully thought about it. I just did it, and it went wrong, which isn't even a surprise, and I didn't know that was a possibility because I was stupid and young, and the scarification got up, and the reason I got the scarification was because I wanted to make my boobs look bigger. I did love body modification at the time. I loved exploring all the different like ways you could create art, but like, why the would I get that on my chest? Are you kidding? What was I thinking? What was I thinking doing that? Like, I can't believe it. I can't even believe that was me who made that decision. But anyway, it didn't go as planned, and it caused me so much heartache and so much resentment, like, to myself, and made me so self-conscious and caused me physical and mental pain. So I had to cover it up. I have a video all about it. I had to tattoo over it. Did I want a chest tattoo? No, I never wanted a chest tattoo. But I have one now because I made a stupid choice of getting a scarification that I had to cover up. And I'm so grateful for the tattoo artist who did this, Gia. She's Death by New York on Instagram. She made something beautiful out of a literal pile of, and I can't believe she did that. So I'm so grateful for her, and I'd much rather have this tattoo than what I had before. But going back, I wish I didn't do any of it. Just leave it alone and get a boob job and shut up. I don't mean to offend anyone who's a younger age. You are an adult and you are 100% allowed to make your own decisions. I personally feel that you shouldn't be able to get a tattoo until you're 21. I think 18 is way too young to be making a permanent decision on your body for the rest of your life. That's just my opinion. But in no means is every like 18 to 21-year-old stupid and incapable of making decisions about their life. That's definitely not a fact. I'm definitely generalizing and just talking about myself and my experience being those ages. So if you're a young viewer of mine, please don't take offense to this. These are just facts, and I can absolutely promise you that when you are a few years older, when you're in your later 20s, your 30s, etc., and when I'm older, we're all going to reflect back on our behavior and be able to recognize that certain decisions we made weren't right, and that we thought we were way more grown up than we were. That's just a fact of the matter, and that's life. This is going to be such a long video. I'm so sorry for going off on all these rants, but I'm just trying to back up all of my points here. So those are, I guess, all the reasons that I got tattoos were to hide parts of my body I was insecure about, to feel just more attractive in general. I thought they made people look better. Especially guys, like a tattooed guy still is my preference, but I don't know, like I thought they were beautiful. Oh, and pretty much the other biggest reason that I want to talk about personally for me, the reason I got into tattoos is because I started going to tattoo conventions when I was 16, and I wasn't allowed to get a tattoo until I was 18, but the conventions just were so much fun to me. Like, they were so cool. Like, I stepped into a world where suddenly I felt like I belonged. Like, this was all the people that liked the same stuff as me and didn't think I was weird for having all of these piercings in my face. Like, it was normal to them. And like I said, like, growing up, it was an issue for me to fit in. It was an issue for me to be accepted amongst my peers. So walking into a tattoo convention and feeling a sense of community and a sense of acceptance and a place of belonging gave me such a strong connection to the community and gave me such a strong passion for it, because it made me feel good, and it made me feel good about myself, and it just brought me happiness. I loved going. I went every single year, and now I'm like, I'm not going. But I went every single year, and then it became just like a fun like activity. Like, I loved, by the time I turned 18, every convention that came around, I was going. I was collecting art from people around the world. I was becoming an art collector. Like, I was getting pieces tattooed on me from people all over the place. And it's just like, the tattoo community was the first community to truly make me feel a sense of belonging and acceptance. And again, I'm so, so grateful for that. It did a lot of soul searching for me to be able to talk about this, you guys. Like, I honestly can't even believe I'm saying this because this is something so personal. And after posting about this, a lot of people reached out to me. And I'm sure a lot more of you will after I post this. Please contact me on Instagram. You can comment on my pictures is the best way to get a response or for me to notice it. Oh. And oh. If you hear Godfrey coughing in the background, I'm sorry. I have to keep talking because I have to go out. So a lot of people reached out to me and they were like, dude, I feel this so hard. One of the messages that I got was, I feel like a sideshow freak. Another message was, and it's not because they necessarily feel like that, but basically like the way people treat them because of it. Another thing people said were like, I wish that I got the tattoos that I got in different places, or I had thought about my future planning for my tattoos, so I would have gotten them a different size, a different position, or just not gotten them at all. A lot of people say that they're just not into the style that they were into when they were a kid. So I guess I'll talk about for me personally. I'll start with the touching on the person who said that they felt like a sideshow act. I do not get treated like a normal person. No one has ever started a conversation with me in public about anything other than my tattoos. And I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. Any single time a stranger has come up to me in public for a completely random interaction, the first thing every single person says is something about my tattoos. And I think that's part of the reason, like, that they make me feel like semi-resentful, just because it's like, even though I love some of my tattoos, that's not who I am as a person. I hate that my tattoos represent my identity, and I hate that they're the focal point of my appearance. I think maybe part of me liked that when I was younger because, again, it would distract from my insecurities, but I don't have those same insecurities anymore. So I just feel like there's so much more to me than this outer shell of a person who people only see as a tattooed person. I hate that it's my identity and the way people describe me. Someone else messaged me saying that, like, they hate how, like, in their friends and families, she's, like, described as, like, the one with the tattoos because she feels that there's so much more to her as a person. And I couldn't agree with that more. Of course, like, a lot of these are innocent. Like, if you talk to strangers about their tattoos, like, you're not a bad person, excuse me. But just so you know, tattooed people hate talking about their tattoos for the most part. Like, we really don't want to answer questions about it in public. Like, we'd like to talk about something else just because it's something that's always such a focal point and that there's just, like, so much other stuff to talk about. You know what I mean? It's like, just because, like, I have this one interest or had this one interest, it doesn't mean that, like, that's not the only thing we could talk about. Like, I think I'd rather be known as, like, the funny girl or, like, the short girl with the fat, or, like, whatever, like anything. Like, I don't know, but I'm always going to be the girl with the tattoos for the rest of my life. That's going to be my identity. And that's just kind of a hard pill to swallow sometimes. Not like there's really anything wrong with it. There's not. I'm just letting you know my feelings. Like, I just feel there's more to me. And as much as it's been a attractant, it's also been a deterrent, because people do have preconceived notions about tattooed people, which is another thing that really just, it bothers me. And as a kid, you're like, whatever, if you don't like my tattoos, that's your problem, not mine. But, like, when you're an adult and you have to, like, do adult things and have, like, normal interactions with people and stuff, like, it's stupid of me to not have thought about it. But I just because it was something I was so used to seeing, I didn't realize that, like, having this many tattoos was still shocking to people outside of my bubble, you know? So again, like, that was an oversight on my part. I was young, I was impulsive. I got almost all of my tattoos between the ages of, like, 18 and 21. I was very impulsive and I didn't think of reality. Because sometimes as an adolescent or a young adult, you live in a little bit of a bubble and you don't think, like, wait a minute, there's a possibility that I'm never going to be able to go out in public in peace because people are going to be staring at me. I was so used to tattooed people and being around them that it's like something I don't even notice or see. I'm almost blind to it. My mom literally calls herself like tattoo blind sometimes because she's like, I didn't even notice, like I don't even notice when people have tattoos or piercings because I look at you all the time. And I'm like, yeah. And I guess I figured everyone was like that, but it's not. Like, people notice your tattoos and it's the first thing they notice about you, and they're going to stare at you all the time. And I can't stress this enough. If you are someone that has mental health issues like me, I consider myself like a mental health advocate here on the internet. If you have mental health issues, don't cover yourself in tattoos because everyone's gonna stare at you. And when you're having a bad day and you're 2 seconds from having a mental breakdown and everyone starts staring at you and gawking at you, it's gonna make you feel uncomfortable every time you go in public, and you're not gonna want to go out and do anything. Yeah. Also, post recording, I just put my camera down and I had to say, people will buttonhole you into an interrogation conversation. Like, they will pin you down and ask you 100,000 questions about your tattoos. Which one's your favorite? Do you have any here? How much did it hurt? Which one hurt the most? They'll ask you 110,000 questions, and you will have to answer the same questions every single day of your entire life to complete strangers who you don't owe an explanation to at all whatsoever. Especially creepy men at bars. I don't care if you like my tats. I just don't. I don't care. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm just here. Or at the grocery store. I'm just here to get bread, ma'am. Like, I want to go undetected, please. So again, like, not saying people are wrong for like looking at people with tattoos or whatever. Like, I get it. Something's different. People are going to look at it, but I didn't get that before. So it's just, again, I want you guys to think about it. So when you do get tattoos, which I still 100% would have tattoos, maybe you can just make better decisions, and also don't go so fast. Like, I don't know why I was in such a rush to be a heavily tattooed person at a young age, and like, why? Like, what? I mean, I was passionate about it. I loved it. I loved how it looked, and that was like how I saw myself, and it's what made me feel like myself. But like, did I have to do it so quick? Because now I'm completely covered in neo-traditional style tattoos, and I would have loved to experiment with like other styles. Like, I want other stuff, but I don't have anywhere to put it now. Like, neo-traditional tattoos honestly are not even my favorite style of tattoos anymore, and it's what my body is completely covered in. So it's like, God, it's just so crazy because all the adults or grown-ups were always like, your interests are going to change. You're not going to like the same thing when you're 18 that you will when you're 25 or even when you're 40. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't care because it's a part of my story and I liked it at one time and it meant something to me. So that means I'm always going to like it. That's not real. That's not real. That's a fantasy world. That is a fantasy world. Like, some people probably do feel that way. They always like their tattoos. They don't care. They're there. They don't bother them. But in the real world, I don't want 50 My Chemical Romance tattoos. Like, I like them. Love the album cover on the back of my legs. Like, that would be it if I could go back. Like, did I really need to get like all of these tiny little, like, what am I doing? Did I really need to get like all these like Friday the 13th tattoos that are like just little like knickknacks that are meaningless? Like, did I really need to put every single one of my interests displayed on my body? Like, I'm almost completely, I'd say I'm like at least 80% tattooed my whole body. The only thing that's not tattooed is my neck, my face, and part of my leg and part of my arm and my butt cheeks. Like, my right leg is almost completely covered. My left leg has several spots. That's like my emptiest body part is my left leg. My right arm is completely tattooed from my fingers to my palms. My left arm is almost completely tattooed from my fingers to my palms. My entire torso, entire back, which I love, would get this 110 times, by the way. Like, this is my favorite tattoo, and I think if you want to get a tattoo, you should just go for it and get a whole back piece instead of getting like a bunch of little stupid things. But anyway, I'm a tattooed person. I'm almost completely tattooed. So if I could, I would go back and do it a lot slower, a lot differently. I would not be collecting them from all over the world. I wouldn't be getting a tattoo every single time I thought of the idea. Like, I barely passed on any of my tattoo ideas. Like, there were a few that I didn't get because I was too young, and a few that I didn't get because the timing wasn't right. But like, for the most part, if I thought of a tattoo, I was getting it within a week. And that's not smart. If I could do things over, I would write down my tattoo idea, and if I still really wanted it in 6 months to a year, then I would get it. Again, like, I don't want people to think I hate my tattoos. I don't. I'm just having an honest and open discussion that, like, some of them, do I hate? I don't think so, but a lot of them, am I just like, I could really, like, I would just feel better if you weren't there and I could have totally done without it? Yeah, like 100%, yeah. Like, do I wish that I could go back in time and experiment with different styles of tattoos and maybe have like a really pretty like mandala type like floral sleeve? Like, yeah, that would be amazing, but I wasn't thinking, and my second tattoo was right here on the top of my arm. I immediately didn't really like it. It has like a bunch of wonky lines, and I guess I just expected it to come out differently than it did. So when I turned 19, I made sure I got a whole half sleeve to kind of take away from this and camouflage it all together so people weren't just staring at like the one tattoo I had on my arm. So it's like, I would honestly say that I got a lot of my tattoos to detract from another one I got that I didn't love. It's so crazy, and this is probably gonna be so shocking to so many people, but it's a shock to me. Like, you have to realize me having these realizations is just as much a shock to me as it is to you. So I guess, again, from my experience, just take it slow. There's really no need to rush. You have the rest of your life, and if you want to do it, you can do it. Just realize, like, from me, looking at me, just really stop and think for a second that this is something you are going to have for the rest of your life. And I heard that a million times, but it never truly clicked to me. You change so much throughout your life. I've evolved in this last year as a human being in ways I can't even tell you. I truly feel like I've been reborn as a person. The rest of your life is a long time. It's a long time to be treated differently by people, to be interrogated every single time you go in public. It's a long time. And if you want to be a tattooed person, like I wanted to be and still do want to be, maybe go for something that's not going to be visible all the time. Like, I love back pieces. I'm super happy with my back piece. Literally wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, no matter what, I would love to have that. Because it's huge and you're still tattooed, but it's not something that's so in your face on a regular basis. I would also suggest maybe waiting to do anything like above the collar line and your hands, because I do feel if I had done that, there would be times maybe that I'd be able to go incognito when I choose to. But instead, there's never a time where my tattoos aren't visible, except in the absolute dead of winter when I'm wearing gloves and a scarf. So that's the only time I kind of can go under the radar in public, which is like the only thing I like about winter. Think about the fact that you may still have those interests in the future, but you may not necessarily want them displayed on your body. I love the fact that I tattooed over my self-harm scars with my mom's handwriting. I think that's so special, and I'm definitely proud of my journey, so I wouldn't trade that for the world. That is my extremely just real, brutally honest discussion. I'm not sad that I have tattoos. I'm really not. Would I be happier if I didn't have all of my tattoos? I don't really know. I can't say. I do think they did help me in a lot of ways, and I don't know if I'd recognize myself without them. I'm not sad that I have tattoos. It's not ruining my life. I love tattoos, and I would always choose to be someone who had tattoos. I absolutely cannot picture me without having any. I don't feel that that is me at all. I do think that I am someone who should be a tattooed person. I just think I would have done things differently. I would have been more careful with the placement. I would have waited with certain larger pieces. My prime real estate, I would have waited. Like, I waited with my back, and I'm so happy I did. Isn't that crazy? Like, the one spot that I saved all of these years is the piece that I love the most, because it's something that I find beautiful now. And all the other tattoos and stuff, like, they're pretty, they're nice, like, they are beautiful. I just don't really feel the need to have them on me. I'm gonna leave the conversation open. Hopefully everyone is nice. I just want to end this with, like, again, like, I am content with me as a person. I am who I am. Luckily, I, most days can handle the attention that looking like this has brought me. I do wish that it wasn't what defines my identity, and that's what makes me sad. But it's just something I didn't think of, and if I could, I would have less. I would have experimented with other styles, and I wouldn't have gotten so many in such a short period of time, and I wouldn't have gotten so many tiny tattoos. I would have loved if I saved room for big pieces. So those are just some of my things that I wish I did differently. I guess I'll end this by saying some things that I love about my tattoos. I love that they make me unique. I love that they have helped me kickstart my dreams. It helped me create a fan base. It helped me bring together people who have a common interest. It helped me stand out, and it helped me express myself and made me feel like I belonged somewhere for the first time in my entire life. Also, I have some pretty good tattoos on my body. Not all of them. Definitely some questionable ones, which I am also ready to fully admit that they're not all the greatest. But I have some really awesome work on me, and I am lucky for that, and have something that's one of a kind, that no one can take away from me. Pros and cons, pros and cons, pros and cons. Again, I want to stress this to you. Not all tattooed people feel this way. If you're a non-tattooed person who sat through this whole video, definitely not all of them feel this way, but I think that's it. Thank you guys for listening to me. Thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me be vulnerable on the internet. Like, I'm literally scared to edit and post this because I just am. And if none of this applied to you, hopefully it inspired you to self-reflect and grow as a person and make better choices moving forward. So yeah, I love you so much. Thank you for sticking with me during my YouTube break. Still on one. Only gonna upload when it's something that I really want to upload. So yeah, again, thank you so much. Your support means more to me than anything. I would not even be who I am if it wasn't for you. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys hopefully soon.